Hello. So it's that time of year again. It's Endometriosis Awareness Week coming up. Not next week, the week after. But I wanted to do it now just because I'm not quite so sure where I'm going to be in the next few weeks. I might be in hospital, I might just not be around or able to do it. And I was interviewed at the beginning of the week when I wasn't so well to do an article for a women's magazine about my condition and my treatment and my journey. And it was on reading it back that it actually became quite apparent. I suppose the word would be shocking. It was quite shocking reading it back, of maybe not necessarily what I've been through as such, because you just live through it when you go through it, but of how many other women out there were going through the same things, especially when I was Googling my symptoms when I felt lost last week and not knowing who to go to or where to turn to, and just seeing all these other women who were in a similar position and nobody had any answers or any logical explanation for any of it. So I figured that maybe by reading my article out or my interview responses out, it might hit a little bit harder, not hit, but maybe relate to a lot more women, because these words like vagina and bleeding and clotting and anything else, sex, that are seen as taboo words aren't actually taboo words, and they need to be spoken about. They're not embarrassing. They're perfectly normal things that every woman goes through. Hopefully not pain, don't get me wrong, but there are definitely 1.5 million people living with this condition, and I'm sure that not every single one of them will have spoken to their families or their doctors or their friends or their partners about it and feel very alone. And it's a condition that is bad enough as it is without feeling alone. So here it goes. So I was 14 when I was told that I had just painful periods, as a lot of girls are. Every month I was having heavy bleeds and pain that shot up my bum, so it would make me freeze if I was like sitting or walking, things like that. It carried on until I was about 18, when I was finding like sexual intercourse with my partner at the time really quite horrible and painful. I ended up going to him from the doctors with loads of other symptoms, not just from sex, and nobody seemed to know what was up, until one particular doctor, when I was at uni, finally took me seriously and got me referred to a gynaecologist and also someone to help my bowels, just to have a look at both, see what was going on. It was 9 years later, I think, 9 years, when I was 23, that I finally got diagnosed and people were moving with trying to get me seen. I think more because I was at the smear age. I was getting towards the smear age, and so they were a bit more precautionary. I had scans, blood tests, early smears, and they all came back clear. All of them were clear. I got told that I might have had Crohn's disease. I had my appendix removed on my right side, that my pain got so severe. And it was actually on my second laparoscopy after all these operations that they found a tumour on my right ovary, which it then turned out was endometrial ovarian cancer. Now, since being diagnosed, I've had loads of different things, loads of different treatments. So they were in a coil fitted, which didn't agree, and then the depot injection, which wasn't enough. And then on the last 3 years, I've been on the Zoladex injections that I have every 4 weeks, and that's to induce the menopause, as well as daily pills, which are HRT, hormone replacement treatment, to counteract any of the symptoms of the menopause, such as hot flushes and mood dips, things like that. It was about a year ago, after I had quite a rough thing happen to me, that I ended up with a cyst that ruptured on my right ovary, and it put me at the high levels of endometrial ovarian cancer coming back. It was rough. I wasn't in a position at the time to have chemo, and it was sort of a life and death situation where they had to take my immune system right down to the lowest point to then build me back up again and get me back on track. It was all right. I got through it, and despite being exhausted from being restricted to pain every day and being on medication to stop this, to have the menopause at 26, to being kept in a particular area for 4 weeks at a time because you have to have these injections, things were going pretty all right until probably mid last year or so, probably like August time, when my mood started to dip and the menopause symptoms came through. The Tibolone, which was my HRT medication at the time, so it wasn't working. And I was switched onto another type, which was amazing. It made me mentally the best it had been in months, in absolute months. Didn't feel suicidal anymore, which no other woman wants to be. It wasn't Sophie at all. I felt great. I felt like I had this darkness lift off my shoulders. But unfortunately, physically, the pain was really bad, and I started bleeding. So as of a couple of days ago, actually, it's been like 2 months, I'd say, of constant bleeds. I'm currently awaiting my emergency appointment with my gynaecologist to try and get my hysterectomy. And I've been on a mix of different medication, tramadol, oral morphine, tranexamic and mefenamic acid to try and stem the bleeding and the clotting and the pain. Loads of stuff really that haven't really touched it. And it wasn't until last week really that I felt the need to share it so much. More so when I was Googling, like I said earlier, because there were doctors there, because my gynaecologist was on annual leave. There were doctors who were classed as gynae registrars who didn't have a clue what to do with me or how to treat me, how to stop my pain, how to stop the bleeding, and wouldn't dare make a decision until my gynae consultant came back. They were trying to inject me with the wrong medication. And it was from my own research and my own Googling of these symptoms that I realised what was going on. And, you know, excuse my dog in the background backing. And people thought you were lying or think that you're making things up because of your age or whatever. So I just want to share with women really and get it out there now that it's okay to talk, period. As the 2014 slogan said, it's okay to talk, full stop, period, because it is. Period. Women's anatomy, you know what, the body generally, and anything that's wrong with it, you should be able to talk about that. It's terrifying. It's absolutely scary, but it is okay to talk. And it's okay to tell your partners and to tell males, get males talking about it, because more and more women are with it and feeling lonely. And when the menopause kicks in anyway, to have that at a different age or forced to not have children at a certain age, it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. And reading all the different stories and bios from women, especially the women who have been interviewed for the same magazine that I have, it sort of made me want to cry for each and every one of them, because no one should have to go through it. No one should have to go through it, and more importantly, no one should have to think they have to be silent and feel dirty or embarrassed about it, because it's not. It's a disease, it's a condition, and it's something that, despite not finding a cure, is treatable. There are things that can be done to ease symptoms and ease lives and make lives easier. So talk, speak out, check out Endometriosis Awareness Week, 3rd to the 9th of March. Don't be scared, because there are people out there to help. Get in touch with me. I'll leave my email address there. I'll leave other charities' addresses there as well. But yeah, share this, talk. Thank you.